All right, I guess we're live.
Woohoo!
Woohoo! All right, I gotta mute this, of course. All right, cool beans. We'll wait till a few people are watching, and then we'll begin as usual. Yeah, you want to go over the new naming kind of titles?
Sure. Are we gonna wait till the people get in here and then we'll go over that?
Nah, fuck it. Just do it now.
All right. Well, we've decided to put together our mashup of little fantasy stuff and being fucking nerds and shit. So, last video I was the Dwarven Prince of Helmets, and we've dubbed Mike the Ogre King of Surplus Mountain.
So, yeah. All hail the Ogre King of Surplus Mountain.
That's right.
Literally got a mountain of surplus at the store right now, so
that's why you're the Ogre King of Surplus Mountain.
We'll be getting a shitload more helmets. I ordered a bunch of the ones I didn't realize, like, because when I get helmets at the store, I got, like, you've seen, I got stacks of them, right?
Yeah, well, they stack so well,
right? But so. The point is, like, I get them and I'm just like, holy shit, I have a lot of these things, and then before I know it, I've got none left. And I'm like, what the fuck? I just had a huge stack of these things like 2 months ago. and then it's like, oh, shit, I didn't order them. So I had to get caught up and buy a bunch of helmets that I've been out of, like the Polish WZ-67s. Got some more East German helmets coming.
There you go.
Those the Swiss M1940s. Soviet SSH-40s, of course. French 1951s. That'll be cool.
I like the 51s.
Dude, they're a solid design. Oh, wow. Jeez,
look
thanks,
at that, Mike. Dude. Raking it in. Does that mean I have to do a shot?
Well, sure. I mean, yeah, it's fine. We'll be splitting that crate, so thanks.
Yeah, we appreciate it, Mike, a lot. Do you have any, like, special questions you want to ask us since you paid money?
Yeah. And Devin's Canadian, so, like, that $10 Canadian goes a long way, huh?
Yeah, that's like $10.40.
Yeah, Riley, thanks. I forgot what you ordered, but yeah, you'll probably like it. Cool beans. Let me go see what you ordered really quick.
Well, we appreciate it anyways, Crate, a lot, so.
Oh, yeah, he got the M60 canteen and then the backpack. Yeah, he's going to like that. Those are really cool.
Them checks make some good shit, man.
Yep. Yeah, he got a grade 2 one because they're a lot cheaper. They usually are just missing the little D rings. But what I've seen on some of them is like they'll take wire or something and they'll just tie a little D ring and then they'll wrap it around itself and it's just as strong.
Exactly. Or I've seen people like they get those little keychain rings.
Yeah.
I use those in place of a lot of surplus stuff where it's missing crap like that.
So. Yeah, so that's why I can't sell them as grade 1 because they're not. So it's just kind of cool. Like people don't really know that because I put it in the description as like they're totally screwed, just so I understate it. And then it like
then
when they
get something nicer.
Yeah, I have a couple people email me. They're like, I think you sent me a grade 1. I'm like, no, it's missing. I guarantee you, it's missing something. They're like, yeah, just a D ring. Yeah, it's pretty funny. Yeah, Willie, those Czech Woodland ones. I'm hoping one of these times that I order a shitload of them, I actually get my size because I really want to keep one. Oh God, those are great field blouses, man. Have you ever seen those, Devin?
Those kind of like lime green woodland type stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but have you ever like held one? They're like really heavy and they've got the pockets on the back and everything. They're super nice.
Yeah, that's the thing with like you get that former Soviet bloc shit. Like it has that heavy NATO influence now, but it's still got that like could survive the end of the world construction on all of it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just built like a brick shithouse and it looks great too. M95 cam was awesome, but
so I like it. Have you ever seen it when it's like real sun faded?
Yeah, it's
super cool shit when it's real sun faded. So you got to really put in the work for that though.
Yeah, I was just going to say it takes a lot because that material is really strong. So yeah, all right. Well, we got 10 people watching. I figure we can start. We'll just do like we usually do on the live streams, guys. We're going to do a little bit of the history of kind of helmets, brief overview for you guys that like them, and then we'll go on to answering questions and stuff. So all right, we're going to start. We left off last week at 1939, so we're going to start with Devin's M40 right now, or the finish.
Yes. So, well, we'll go with it's same shell. It's made on German press and everything. But so we're going to go with some background first. Obviously, if you watched the last stream, we went up to 1939 before we had internet problems.
Yeah.
So at least we got through that part, at least. So it's not like we're missing information. But so we went up to 1939, and now we're getting to the part where we're not really seeing a lot of new designs come out for the most part, but we're seeing a big simplification of designs to wartime economy and stuff like that. So we're going to start with the M40, which is a simplification of the German M35, which is what we covered in the last video. And the only difference between an M40, which is this is a finished one, so the rivets will be different, obviously, and it won't have this little M38 style chin strap hole in it. But the only difference between a German M40 and a German M35 is the fact that these vent holes on the M35 will be a separate piece. So there will be rivets put in rather than just a deformed piece of the shell. So... and this is really what we see from Germany as far as a big advantage from the 30s into the 40s is that slight simplification to save cost. Other than that, it's going to be exactly the same. It's going to have the same style liner, the full circumference leather liner with the 2-point leather chin strap. So that's what we're going to see with that. But we see a new thing from Russia as well. So we kind of covered that in the last video with the 39. But the 39 was quickly junked because the liner was too inefficient to produce.
Yeah.
So they went to just a big 3-pad style liner that's riveted right directly to the shell in the M40 style helmet. So I don't know if you have one of those on hand, Mike. But
yeah, I definitely do.
All right, so Mike's grabbing that. But yeah, so the Russians even simplified their helmet, even though their helmet had only been in service for less than a year. They went to that style liner rather than an original M39 will have kind of like what you see on the Czech M40 style helmets. It'll be that leather kind of crown, the full circumference one.
So, they're really chintzy, and they weren't built well at all because they didn't really know how to manufacture them in mass.
Yeah.
So then, they just go to the simpler. I mean, some of them even have like straight up cotton, like linen pads in them. The Hungarian M50s actually had the cotton pads a lot, but some of the Soviet ones late war had them too. But mostly you're going to see the black leather or brown leather.
And the number one question I get that I've seen from like paperwork is that it was too cost inefficient to make that liner, which it was. It was a lot more cost inefficient to make that liner, but it also was a lot more time to make that liner. So making these little 3 pads saved a lot of time as far as being able to churn helmets out really fast. So other than that, we don't really see any big helmet changes until about mid-war. We get to 1942, which is where a lot of stuff starts to happen. Is 1942.
Yep, so, a lot of stuff. We'll start with what I'm wearing right now. We'll start with the M1, the US M1. So this, I mean, there's so many different theories and people think they know where it was influenced and designed from. The M33, which influenced the M40 and every other round helmet. Well, sure, but if you look at this, it's actually got a pretty unique design. It's not really shaped like the M33 insofar as like other than the slight curvature down in the back, but the M33 is a lot more drastic, and as well as the SSH40. So this is what I've gathered is they tried to find like the universal design for a more spherical helmet that could deflect rounds. And they came out with the liner system, which is interesting. The detachable liner. If you've never seen an M1, there's initially it was like the Holly liner. What the hell was that? Like compressed cardboard, pretty much.
Yeah, and it was like paper mache, pretty much. Yeah,
it didn't work well. But they had fiberglass. What the hell else did they? Obviously the cardboard, the Holly liner. What was that other one that they used for a little bit? The low pressure.
Corlon.
Yeah, and then they experiment with the webbing using rayon versus cotton versus whatever the hell else they had, and most of them are going to be this cotton HBT in khaki for the most part. They did come out with olive drab in late 1944. That's something that most people don't think was a World War II thing. Olive drab. They thought all the gear was khaki. Nope. In 43, actually, it started becoming more olive drab. But
they came out with a very famous. The OD number 7 came out in 43.
Yep, and that's the OD that gear was until the late 60s to 70s. And the M1 comes out, and it's a pretty revolutionary design at that point.
Yeah, it's the largest jump in helmet technology in World War II, actually, because the U.S. goes from basically a World War I era helmet to that. So
yeah, and it was pretty cool. Like Devin said, I think it was last week or the week before, the United States, when they actually got involved in 1941 and they started sending people to the South Pacific immediately, early 1942 all the way through the end of 1942, you see Marines and soldiers and of course Navy personnel wearing the Kelly helmet, the 1917 A1, primarily. And that's what you're going to see, like on Guadalcanal, a lot of them wore the Kelly helmet. Midway, the really early battles, they're going to be wearing the Kelly helmet, the Solomon Islands, all those little really early campaigns. And then in later 1942, mid to late 1942, because this was actually kind of designed earlier, but it wasn't actually adopted until 1942.
yeah,
so
it was being tested in 41. So
yep, and then they tried to, of course, military supply is never good, but they tried to get as many of the M1s out to combat forces as possible. And the unit that I really liked, the 32nd Infantry Division, the Wisconsin and Michigan National Guard, they were actually one of the first combat units issued these before they went into combat. So they actually hit the ground with the M1 and the M1 rifle, which is a whole other topic. We're just talking about helmets today. But so late 1942, you see most of the frontline combat troops are going to start having the M1. Now, the early M1s, as you might know, if you know anything about them, these things are called bales, right? The things that the chin strap's attached to. The really early ones were actually just welded and they were D-shaped. They were tack welded in two spots and they were rigid. They didn't move. They were called fixed bale, right? And you had the seam on the front, just like most World War II helmets, not all of them, where you see the seam for the what do you call this? The rim is going to be in the front. And so you had the fixed bale, right? And then you had the khaki olive drab chin straps that were sewn on. They didn't have a buckle. So, and then in about 1943, they started coming out with the swivel bales, which is what these are. They actually move, right? Because they figured out that the bales were breaking a lot. If they were pulled on or something, or get caught on something, or just drop, they would break. So they came out with these swivel bales that there's a bracket welded. It's actually really similar to like the Kelly helmet and the Brody helmet.
Yep, you have a bent piece of metal that goes over a D-ring, basically.
Yep, exactly, and then it allows it to swivel. So they went back in technology with that. That's kind of weird, but that's the majority of helmets you're going to see from World War II on are going to be swivel bale, right? So that's what they mean when you see something for sale, like front seam swivel bale, front seam fixed bale. Fixed bales are going to be more expensive because there was less of them made and less of them survived. A lot of them broke and they were replaced with the swivel bale anyway, refurbished. So that's what that means when you see that for sale. Front seam, all front seam helmets are going to be World War II shells. That is a fact. Now, the question, like in 1943 and 44, we start getting the later war. They started moving the seam back into the rear of the helmet, right? Which is what you hear people say, that rear seam helmets were not used in World War II. That's actually false. At the very end, they were used not in like gigantic numbers. The front seam obviously out.
Well, they made them for a whole year, yeah. So they obviously made it into the war. There's nothing that was made for a whole year that didn't make it into the war, yeah.
Right, and then so long story short, that's the World War II years for the M1. You've had a few variations, and you had the M1C with the airborne version with the A yokes and all that shit. There was variants of that. It's just insane how many different variants of the M1 were out. And then you were saying, okay, so talk about the olive drab cover, because this is right about when.
Oh, so like the olive drab cover. Now you see the U.S. start to experiment with covers towards the end of World War II. All right. Now you see a lot of nets and stuff like that, and everything as well through World War II. Obviously, none of the covers really make it to see combat, and there's a reason for that, and it's because a lot of the U.S., you never see camouflage in Europe, obviously, because the U.S. involved in Europe knew that the Germans wore camouflage. So they figured if the U.S. troops wore camouflage, there would be more friendly fire incidents, which is probably a safe assumption. But towards the end years of the war, this wasn't really more of a camouflage thing. It was more of a to reduce shine type of thing. Because the M1, even with the paint style that they put on, you can see on the one that Mike is wearing. Mike has paint on his helmet, textured paint. Yeah, when that gets wet.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So like his helmet is dry. And
this is the original paint, and it's shining this much in like LED lights in a house. So yeah.
So imagine when it's wet and it's rainy and then there's a clear night and the moon shines on it. It's really bright. So the covers came along very, very kind of late war. The experimentation of the covers, as far as like this style cover goes away. You see the Marines use covers through basically the whole war. They have the frog skin cover that you see, but the U.S. Army starts to finally use covers towards the very, very late days of World War II. They start testing a cover to reduce the shine of the helmet because the net wasn't cutting it. So, and then you end up seeing this type of helmet cover in Korea and then into early Vietnam, obviously, whereas the Marines continued to use the frog skin till eventually it was universally adopted, the vine leaf Mitchell type pattern towards mid-Vietnam. So.
Right. We're going to just talk about the World War II and Korean M1s. The World War II and Korean M1s are going to have this, what's called the Riddell style lining system, where it's got the 3 straps that are tied to the liner, and then you've got the dome kind of donut, people call it. Like it's a little drawstring on the top to adjust the helmet height. And then you've got a nape pad right here, and then the leather chin, I was looking at the chin strap, leather sweatband. And it's World War II ones. Most of them are going to be khaki material. But towards the end, they started using olive drab. And then in Korea, you're going to see a lot more olive drab in the same style. And then we go to the later style Vietnam. You're going to see a shitload of different variations of liner. This is a very late war one, the green.
No. And in early Vietnam, again, you're going to see, because we had troops in Vietnam in the 50s, you're going to see the World War II styles in the very, very early things of Vietnam.
There's guys that have World War II liners up until the fall of Saigon. It was insane. Yeah. So, but yeah, then you're gonna switch to this style liner in I think it was early to mid 60s, where they have just the 3 straps that are out like that and adjustable. You still got the chin strap and everything. The nape pad is an external. It's a separate piece. It's not actually attached to the liner.
And it comes down much, much lower, so it cups the head a little better for better stability.
Yep. So. And then here's the Mitchell pattern vine leaf or whatever. Design. But yeah, so that's pretty much the M1 into Vietnam. Now we can back it up just a tad and talk about another one that you've got, the 56.
Oh, well, it started its life as the. Well, we should talk about the Stahlhelm, the regular Stahlhelm 42 as well. So, So 1942, Germany needs a new helmet. All right, they need to cut cost. And so 2 helmet designs are really submitted, and one gets picked basically just because of looks and kind of, personal affiliation with it. So you see the next upgrade of the German Stahlhelm, the one that is actually adopted, which is the M42. And the only difference between the M40 and the M42 is now the rim is not rolled. So it'll have a raw edge, as it's called, which is kind of sharp, and it's tend to be flared out. So instead of curling in, like you see this rim where it's curled in here all the way around, it will be just slightly flared out, and it won't have this curl to it. So it's going to be kind of sharp. You'll be able to cut yourself if you ding the edge of it or something, and it gets like a tooth cut into it. You'll cut yourself fairly easily on that. But at the same time that was tested, there was another design tested that was actually light years ahead of its time, and that'd be the helmet that was eventually used by East Germany. This design. Now, this design, as you can see, was actually designed in 1942, and it was better in every regard than what we know as the M42 that was adopted. This offered way more protection for way less metal, and metal was a very, very precious resource towards the end of the war. This design worked so much better because it worked on the same principle as tank armor. If you add more angle, it actually adds more metal depth-wise and a better chance of deflecting. So you see this helmet is almost all angle. It's a big cone shape, basically. And that's going to help with deflecting rounds while using less material, which not only makes a lighter helmet, it offers more protection. So this was a very common design, and this would have the same rim that you see on the M42 that the Germans actually adopted, the kind of flared raw edge. So you will see it, though, how to spot an M56, which this is a later M56. An early one from a later one is you will see kind of rivet holes around the outside. There will be 6 rivet holes around the outside of this helmet that hold in the liner, and the liner and the chin strap are the exact same as you find on the World War II production Stahlhelms. If it's a period correct one. So an early one, and then later in the 70s they switched to this style of liner where they don't have any imperfections in the shell to possibly compromise its ballistic protection. So, but this is a design that we saw used well into the 90s, right, Mike?
Yeah. Well, it was before they took all of the former DDR guys and NVA guys and put them into the Bundeswehr. I think they were still using that. The East German troops were still wearing that, and then when they were in the Bundeswehr, they were wearing something else.
Yep. So they were wearing an M1 variant, but you see this design was so good and so ahead of its time that it's actually still in use by the Afghan National Army as one of the 3 variants of steel helmet they actually field. So the Germans must have got something right, but Hitler personally shot down that design in favor of the more classic Stahlhelm look. So
yeah, well, it is what it is. I guess at that point you got bigger priorities, and it's like nope.
So yeah, it became down to that whole personal connection, personal preference to it, really. So, and since Hitler had veto power on pretty much anything, so
yeah, and then I don't have a lot of my helmets here again, but we'll get going towards the 50s, which I think the East German one was probably the most weird.
Well, I got another one that came out, and that's this one.
Yeah.
So this is an Italian helmet, actually. The Italians upgraded, well, the paratroopers upgraded from the M33 to this, the M42. This is the later M42 60, and the only difference is the chin strap, really. I would have had a leather chin strap, whereas it has a kind of canvas one now. So, but this is basically taken from the Czech eggshell helmet. It's just cut a little bit higher for better visibility, and it has a different liner. Now, this is probably one of the better liners as far as impact protection goes during World War II, because it's this full airtight pad suspension. So it has webbing underneath it, then it has lots of foam, and then it has leather over that for durability purposes and obviously like sweat absorption. And then it has this little front buffer too. So like, let's say you're jumping out of a plane on parachute, as you do as you're an airborne trooper. This keeps the front part of your shell from like rocking forward and hitting you. It's a little extra brow protection, or from like hitting your arm or hitting another part of your body. It's going to keep the front of your shell from possibly like hitting another part of you and hurting you, which is why you see this little brow pad on the Italian paratrooper helmets. And this is a major leap forward, not really in shell design, but far as liner design goes, this probably has one of the highest rates of blunt force trauma protection that you could find in World War II, just because of the multitude and combination of different padding and lining systems you see in this one design. So
yeah, and then it seems that in like the 50s, everybody was either cloning the M1 or cloning the SSH-40. Yeah. So
came the East versus West type thing. So
right.
And so basically another reason why the M1s are so, you could spend a whole lifetime trying to collect every single version of the M1 ever made, and that's because basically everyone at some point has used an M1. To the point where even Russia, after World War II, tested the M1. Pretty much every military at some point has touched the M1 design. So, and the same thing with like, whereas, you know, you could say that not every country has touched an SSH-40 necessarily. There's one Western country that touched an SSH-40 in kind of a unique way, which is really cool. And it's one of my favorite helmets, and that would be France. But
well, the F1, yeah, I mean,
yeah,
so it's hard to say that it wasn't influenced by that thing. Yeah,
but both helmets were very, very good designs in their own right. Now, obviously, the SSH-40 is going to be a way cheaper, way easier helmet to produce and make. You could churn those things out in numbers, especially now that they really had the manufacturing down. Once World War II got going, they were churning those things out by the thousands every day. It's harder to do that with an M1 simply because of the two-piece design it has.
And it's got the rim on it, and and then they got the little brackets for, it's insane. But yeah, they I mean, the SSH-40, that thing got cranked out, and then Hungary copied that almost directly with the M50. Poland used the WZ-50, which was actually a little bit different than the SSH-40, but same concept. And they took the M33 liner and threw it in there. That's a great helmet, by the way.
It is a good helmet.
The WZ-50. And then the Czech M52, offshoot of the SSH-40. My God, I have never done a video on the difference in those four. Because everybody...
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
Like I said on one of the live streams a few weeks ago, like there's companies that are still doing this. They're selling Czech M52s as SSH-40s, and people are buying them just because they resemble the same shape. And there's a big price difference in those.
Yes.
So
there's really only two kind of communist countries that never adopted the SSH-40 style design. That would be Yugoslavia, because Yugoslavia wasn't actually on the best terms with with Yugoslavia. But we're not even going to quote Germany, because Germany didn't really use an M1 at the beginning of their time either, and neither did East Germany. They didn't use an SSH-40 for reasons of not pissing each other off.
Right.
Accidentally. So, but like you see the two countries that are well buried into the Eastern Bloc being Romania and Yugoslavia. Yugoslavia was a communist country that kind of found communism themselves, and they didn't have the best ties with either the West or the East. They kind of blazed their own trail in that. But you see Romania decided to stick with their own design as far as the helmets go. Yeah.
Well, I mean, they used the M39 up until the 90s actually, but then they went to this. Yeah, Yugoslavia and Romania, and Bulgaria. They used the 36 primarily.
But then they adopted the 51, but they did test the M40. So
right, so that, other than that, Poland with the WZ-50, and then the one we're going to talk about in a little bit, which whatever, and then Romania didn't, Bulgaria didn't, Yugoslavia didn't, but they were like not under the Soviet Union though. That was kind of interesting, like you said.
No, they actually had a lot of quarrels. You see a lot of Yugoslavia spying on Russia, a lot of assassination attempts between both of those nations too. They weren't really on the best terms with each other, but fun fact about Yugoslavia is they were actually kind of a place where the Soviet Union and the United States and the Western countries and everything would kind of have a sit down, because they hated both of us equally. So
and then I think one of the best designs to come out of the Eastern Bloc, one of the coolest designs, was actually the Polish WZ-67, because what it did is it combined the WZ-31, which we were talking about, the unicorn, and the WZ-50, kind of the shell composition, into a more mainstream or streamlined helmet design.
Yes.
And this is actually a very heavy helmet, and it's one of my favorite designs. I'm going to actually ballistic test this summer. I have a stack of helmets like 4 feet high that I was going to do last year, but it just, nothing worked. I had a busy year last year, but this year, hey, we're going to be getting a lot done. Devin and I are going to be going out and doing a lot of really cool ballistic tests. We're going to be doing helmets that you guys are probably going to be like, what the hell are you shooting that for? But mind you, they're all the crappiest ones. Whenever I buy helmets or I get one, I always take the one that has zero collector's value and is just a scrap pretty much, but it's still intact, so it would still...
We try to not shoot stuff that's like brand new, unless it's like an SSH-68, where the SSH-68s that are really beat up are actually worth more, because they probably went to Afghanistan or something, than the ones that aren't beat up. So
everything in my shop is authentic unless I specifically put in that it's a
reproduction.
Like that's kind of my shtick. I love like real surplus. I don't, and if it is, I know you did. I know you found one, but I like to stick with just real surplus stuff, because it's a lot easier for me to deal with. That's why my selection isn't like as vast as most of the other surplus dealers that get a bunch of new shit, because it's like mine is actually real. And a lot of times when I get surplus, I can't pick the sizes, so it's like, it's very difficult. But that's why, like, with support from the customers and all that stuff, I'm still able to get cool stuff. And
that's right. And you in the end, you're gonna want to buy something that's real anyways, because if you're like me, I collect a lot of mess kits. You can get a lot of those reproduction mess kits, but they're nowhere near as good They're
Right.
always shittier quality. They're always like not food grade aluminum. They're not, they're not something you're going to get as much life out of as you will an actual piece of surplus, and it's worth paying more for an actual piece of surplus.
Yeah, so Novocaine, yeah, you can definitely. I mean, you can look at all the reviews on my site. I've been in business for like several years. I've got a bunch of people that will vouch for me. Like my stuff is, I know what I sell, which kind of sucks for you guys because I charge a little bit more than other places that don't know what they sell. But you get to pick your sizes, your condition, and you know that it's going to be real. So it just takes me more time to go through everything, and it's a pain in the butt. But then you guys end up winning. That's why I do that, because as a collector myself, I can never find a place that does this. So that's why I started this, and I've been doing it this way. And I haven't, I'm probably not going to get to the point where I don't ever go through stuff myself and grade it all and, make sure you guys know what the hell you're getting. So that's kind of my business model for those of you that don't know. So
it gives you that peace of mind you get with surplus that you can't get a lot of places. So,
all right, we're going to end it here for the helmet part. Because I think
we basically covered up through the end of World War II. We're not going to really see any changes in designs until the 60s for the most part.
Yeah, so. Late 60s, early 70s, we'll start getting into composite stuff. So we'll start answering questions from you guys now, because there's a lot of questions. So first things first, Mario donated $5. Devin, you know about the SB5 Russian armor from the 90s and the sizes and all that stuff, right?
Yeah, they made those in 3 sizes, 1, 2, and 3. The Russians are real big on 1, 2, and 3. Now, 3 is going to be large. That's going to fit people with a chest that is like over 45 inches large. And now you got to remember that this is meant to be worn over winter gear as well. So a size 2 will fit most people. You can also, there's some kind of overlap with the adjustability on those. They're going to be very, very hard to find here in North America, though. Probably a better chance here in Europe. But shipping on them is going to be really expensive. From what I understand, they were a real effective vest because they used like titanium plates over aramid fiber. So, which is kind of a weird design Russians had with their body armor until very recently when they transitioned to ceramic. They did a lot of like dragon scale type ceramic plates, or just not ceramic, dragon scale type titanium plates or steel plates, or just big steel plates in general over like aramid fiber, which ended up being actually a really, really effective, cheap body armor to make. I did a video on that on my like SSH 81, where the Russians, because of their embargoes and stuff like that, were not allowed to really get a lot of aramid type stuff. So you see them make do with what they had, to the point where they started making mess kits and helmets and body armor and pretty much everything out of titanium. So they're going to be, the covers on them though tend to sun fade really easy, just so you know, and they're not made out of the most durable material. Most of the covers on those early Russian vests that you find are going to be made out of the same material that the uniforms are made out of. So the plates will eventually tend to wear through and stuff on the corners. So just so you know.
That's what $5 gets you, a complete, thorough, accurate answer. Yeah.
What helmet and camo I'm wearing? I'm wearing a 6B27, and the camo is the Russian Sumrak camo, or Twilight camo, which is often called the birch spot camo, because not only is it digital, it has a smaller digital pattern within the digital pattern. So
it's like Inception in a camouflage pattern.
Yeah, it's really neat. It looks like white noise, or like a really miniature version of a birch tree. And this helmet is kind of used for like you see a lot of early springtime, kind of late fall, where there's a little bit of snow on the ground, or you see it used a lot in like in moonlight, night type stuff where there's no cloud cover. These are pretty common to see Russian troops wearing.
Oh. Yeah,
Cloudy browns and OD green. I love OD green.
Yeah, the Israeli stuff. I know we're getting a lot of their older gear, like from the 70s and 80s and 90s, to be honest. But I hope we can get a lot more Israeli stuff. They love selling surplus, right? They love to get money for stuff that they don't have to dispose of.
Yeah, exactly. They sell all their old stuff to make tons of money and stuff like that. Just be leery. Like I've made some of you have probably seen that video where I bought the Orlight's, one of my favorite composite helmets ever.
Yeah.
I bought a couple Orlight's that I could literally, they were so shittily manufactured, I could crush them with my hands. Like an Aramid helmet, I could crush with my hands if I wanted to. They're so
and the thing
bad.
about the Israelis that I've heard is they will have a warehouse full of shit, and they'll have like Hueys and other helicopters and stuff like that, and they'll sell it to you if you've got millions of dollars and you take everything. So that includes all the shit.
Yeah.
And then you're stuck with it. So, but Anon says it's hard to get stuff from Israel. It's really not. They want to get rid of their old stuff. They keep.
If you're willing to buy in bulk, it's easy to get. 1s and 2s are hard to get though.
Well, and right now they're trying to sell off all their old M16s and all their old police guns, but they can't ship them out without breaking them down into parts kits and torch cutting them and all that shit and the barrels. So they're not willing to do that. They want to find a country that'll just buy them. So it's like well, they're not really being greedy. They're being smart. Like I would do the same thing. Get your top dollar for all your used gear so you can fund more stuff.
Exactly, because then that's money the government's getting back on their purchase too. So that's stuff they can instantly fund into the next project.
Yeah, we do the same thing. We just don't get as much for our stuff.
Exactly. So,
but
how much is the front end seamed fixed bale helmet currently selling for? Are you talking just the shell or like an entire helmet? Because there's entire helmets out there that are going to run you a couple $100, liner and all, that are all original, fairly easily. So,
I don't know anything about I've never seen an actual heat stamp on an M1, which is not uncommon at all. I think some of the earlier ones were stamped, and then most
M1 shells you're gonna find are unmarked. So
this is legitimate World War II. This is actually from my buddy who was in Vietnam. I was telling you about. This is his shell, not his liner, but his shell. And this has got the original OD6 paint on it, and then the front seam, and it's a swivel bale, and it's all original. The shell is, and it doesn't have any markings on it whatsoever.
Yeah. So most M1 helmets you're going to find from the United States, as far as shells go, are going to be unmarked. All the liners will be marked, but you will not usually find a marked shell.
This is a Westinghouse, oddly enough. They didn't make any of them. God, it's like 90% of the ones that I've seen are New England Westinghouse.
Yeah, Westinghouse fucking churned shit out. My God, they churned M1 carbines and M1 helmets out at an absurd amount, despite how late they got contracts for everything.
Right. Well, they were pretty serious about it, man. They employed a lot of people too.
Yeah, just like Ford churning out all those bombers and Willys Jeeps.
A large amount of those Israeli M16s, yeah, they would be, but I mean, how much? Yeah, I know that's a whole other topic of discussion about the U.S. stuff. I get that. Does anyone know how to correct ammo used for the? I mean, just honestly, the end block clips, get surplus ones. Don't get the new made ones. They don't work well.
And most off-the-shelf 30-06 ammo will be fine in them, because most hunting rounds are loaded kind of lighter than military rounds anyway, so you're going to be fine.
The grain does matter, the weight of the bullet. So the M2 ball was I forgot the kind of powder it uses. I used to know all this shit. It's 150 grain Spitzer bullet, and it's designed in a way that it won't hurt the M1's operating system. Well, actually, they designed the M1 to not be hurt by M2 ball, because M2 ball was what they used in the 1903s as well.
Yeah.
So Privy Partisan actually makes a round that's exactly the M2 ball load. Brand new ammo. That's what I use. It says optimized for the M1 Garand.
Yeah, it's exact spec. Yeah.
It is the best M2 ball ammo that's not surplus that I've ever fired in my life. Super accurate, super consistent, and it's like 45 cents a round, but you can reload it, if you're into that stuff, or you can sell the brass. So that's what I'd use for the M1, is just get the Privy Partisan brand 150 grain M2 ball.
Yeah.
It'll be fine in the M1.
Or look up the specs for M2 ball and go to your place, and it says on every box what the weight is, and find something close. So.
48 grains of IMR, 48.95 is what I was using, I believe. God, it's been so long since I even touched the fucking loading bench. So, Jesus, Crate, what are you, just like drunk and giving us all your cash?
Did you win the fucking lottery or something?
Crate don't take nothing from nobody.
Yeah, Zahal.org is actually the place where I bought those two fucking faulty Orlight helmets from, so just be careful with them. And then they had very shitty customer service too. So
Oh yeah, I've actually heard about those guys before. Now that you say that, yeah.
Yeah, so they were very, very hard to work with, and I shelled out a lot of money for these helmets, and I had to pay the postage here and back, and they didn't ever refund my postage. So I actually ended up sending all of the helmets back. I actually lost money on postage because they were so hard
Yeah.
to work with. But I just wanted to get rid of it. So
Yeah. I mean, sometimes, I mean, in the collecting game with anything, it's you're going to get screwed at some point. It's just a matter of time.
yeah,
So expect that when it happens. Don't really take it like personally and think that you're done collecting. It's going to happen. I screwed myself out of, oh my God, a few years ago. I have a story that maybe it's a long story, but it's about a rifle that I really wish I wouldn't have traded for a rifle that I didn't know what it was. But anyway, so a sneak peek of new goodies I'll be getting in. Okay, that's fine. That's fair. I'll be getting in a bunch of helmets, like I just said earlier in the live stream. SSH 40s, Swiss M1918 40s. What the hell? East German M56 76s, Polish WZ 67s, French M51s. I'm gonna get a bunch of Yugo M59 85 helmets. I believe that's probably some more. I'm getting some Grenztuppen hats, some of the East German border guard visor caps. Don't know the sizes or anything. And then I've got those Swiss wool sheepskin winter hats coming again. Finally got able to.
those things are fucking nice. That's actually my go-to winter hat. Is my Swiss winter
Dude,
hat there.
they're ugly as shit, but my God, do they work great? And they're
Oh,
so
they're so
cool.
fucking good. So
Yep.
I remember when my girlfriend's car battery died, and I had to fucking walk 2 miles to Walmart to get a new car battery. That's the hat that I wore there in the shitty wind. So.
Yep. No, they're definitely like they still issue them. I'm pretty sure. So yeah, they're the Novocaine. They're not going to be cheap anymore because they're not cheap for me to buy anymore. They're
No,
going to.
but you're getting a high quality wool item, and I've been over
No,
how
the
fucking
East
nice
German
wool
helmets. I'm
shit is.
sorry.
Yeah.
What the hell was I saying? I jumped topics. We're talking about the East German M56s. They're going to be like around $60 or something like that because
That's a good deal.
I'm also getting really good condition ones on this batch, and I bought them out. So, and the Swiss hats are not like beanies. I think
I got one right here. It's kind of like a
Yep.
Ushanka type style hat. So it's just little 3 different snaps up here on the top, and so you could adjust how loose you want it, and then it has kind of a visor that can fold down if you want. It's a soft visor, but it's that kind of Swiss gray green wool, and the sheepskin isn't fully lined. It has kind of a quilted liner for the actual crown, but this is it right here. So it's a good hat. I like them. I like them a lot because they're not as heavy as like the Ushanka style stuff that you find from other countries. So.
Oh, Elias is wearing his jungle fatigues. Yeah, me too. Jesus, Mike, you make me go broke.
Got my Gorka 4 on. So.
Yeah. So I'll be getting those Swiss goods. What the hell else did I? Oh, I'm trying out some boots. I got some, and no chance of Polish camo or Vegetado. Vegetado is like market saturated with that, and I can't get it anyway. And Polish camo, they're not really surplusing out much stuff like the Pantera stuff. I would love to get it. Trust me.
No, they're kind of doing like Germany is right now, where they're kind of keeping a tight leash on that shit. So
right, they're I do talk to my sources in Europe, and I'm like, hey, here's what I need to get: Hungarian camouflage, Polish camouflage. They're like, yeah, they're not really doing that anymore. They're not really surplusing all their shit. It's like, God damn, because I want some Pantera. You know?
I know, right? It's good stuff. Polish stuff is fucking some of the best shit on the market.
Oh God, I love it. Like the WZ 2000 helmets. Good God, mine had a cover on it. I'll grab that bitch really quick.
Why is Germany keeping? Well, it's not that they're really keeping their stuff for themselves. It's just that they're not producing it in surplus amounts anymore. So they're surplusing it as they need it. So they don't really need to destroy it. And then all the shit that they deem not for use anymore, they are destroying. So.
Yeah, this Polish WZ 2000 that I got, it's a size 3, which is sweet, but yeah, it's got the Pantera cover on it. Man, these things are amazing.
Yep.
This thing is an awesome helmet. And yeah, the ballistic test that I did, I was so impressed by these. God, yeah, they just perform extremely well.
Those poles make some good shit.
Oh, and did we tell you guys that this summer, or when it gets nicer out, because it's really disgusting, we're going to be testing the ECH.
We're going to be the first ones to shoot one.
Yep, and videotape it and show you guys what the new our military's helmet is.
So I'm excited to see what that one can do based on what I have technical spec wise. So
yeah, oh yeah, I'm gonna get some of those green M1 covers to sell for sure. I can get them.
Nice, as long as you can get the sateen ones like this.
I think they are, because I don't think they made them. Ripstop didn't come out until like, I mean, the Army didn't start using it really a lot until like 67, 68.
Well, you can find them in Ripstop. You can find them without the rarest ones are without the buttonholes in them. So the foliage holes.
Yeah. Yep. So.
What else? I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know what the time about either, but yeah, this thing is actually comfy. I have my pads from my ACH in it, and it's.
I know, right? The ECH is great, and you don't feel that extra weight if you're used to wearing one. Like if you were wearing an ACH and then somebody gave you an ECH and you threw it on, you really wouldn't notice either. It's not much.
It's pretty much the same weight. Like there's a couple ounces, maybe a little bit different.
Yeah, I covered that in my video. Canadian cover? What Canadian cover? This is Russian.
No, besides, geez, sorry, dying here. He's talking about the green one, the olive drab.
No. That one is an actual U.S. olive drab cover. The one that I have on my other M1 is the Canadian mass green one. So I should probably do a video to show the difference because it's actually a different color. The mass green is a little bit brighter than the olive drab. So.
Oh, Josh.
The PKM is the 54. So you got it right the first time, Mike.
Oh, I saw you wrote PKM. Yeah. If it did, you know what? We're going to be doing that. We're going to be shooting an ECH with 9mm Mac through. We'll do 7.6254 because it's a relevant round still. It's still being made.
Yeah, I'll bring my super collector grade M39 so Mike can check that out.
Dude, I'd get more 7.6254 than you can probably dream of, boy.
Good, because you told me what kind of ammo that thing takes. Because I bought some real light ammo and it doesn't like that.
No, so. the M39s love the 182 grain. They used to sell.
It really throws off my accuracy. My group isn't very tight on that with the really light ammo. So.
If you put, I'm a horrible group shooter, and I got some Hungarian heavy ball a few years ago, the yellow tip shit for the PKM, and oh my God, at 100 yards, I was actually getting a fucking group, like a tight group, and I'm like, holy shit, because I'm horrible. The group shooting.
Yeah.
Like, I'm okay at reflexive shooting, but like, yeah, it's pretty nuts. Like how much difference it makes.
Yeah, that's what you're telling me. So I got next time I go ammo shopping, I'm gonna have to get some heavier stuff. So why is CAD so hard to get? Because Canada actually has laws against surplusing current issue surplus. It's not illegal to own in Canada, but it is illegal to transport and ship. So. That's why it's so hard to get out of Canada. So you can find CAD in Canada relatively easily, but it's really near impossible to find it outside of Canada. So, but they are going to Multicam in the next couple of years, it sounds like. So then they'll probably surplus most of their CAD. So it'll be, if you wait a few years, it'll probably be on the market here.
I will do my damnedest to buy a shitload of it to sell. Like,
yeah.
I can't wait. And also, I hear Switzerland is also going to like an Alpen or an M90 style that's multicam colored.
Yeah, they're just switching the color scheme up a bit,
But they will
brightened it up a bit,
But they'll be selling their TAS 90 because it's so different from the color scheme.
I don't know if they'll do that. They'll probably burn through most of their TAS 90, keep issuing it and stuff to like recruits and everything.
Well, no, I was talking to a guy that's in the reserves right now in Switzerland. He said that they're probably going to be getting rid of all that shit
They're gonna go whole bandwagon on it. Normally, Switzerland doesn't do that. They just run everything into the fucking ground.
Dude,
So.
I just got a bunch of KS90 boots that are dated like 2014 and 2016, and they're used and they're just selling them. So,
Are those the ones that are they welted or are they just direct molded sole?
I don't
Because
remember.
the ones, well, you can see the seam on the outside, the ones that are welted. The reason they're getting rid of the direct molded sole ones is because less than a year, the soles tend to peel away.
Yeah, I just can't remember if they are or not, but yeah, I mean they're
love
okay
Cat too.
boots. Like I think some of them are actually dated in the 90s and they're a little worn, so I would assume that they're.
I mean, it's a good boot. The uppers on them are fucking nice. They're super nice boots, but the thing is, I bought a pair, and I'm pretty hard on shoes for my job, and
Yeah.
I ended up starting to peel the soles away. So
Yeah.
after about 9 months of wearing them, yeah.
Yeah, that sucks. That's why I like the U.S. Jungle boots, the real ones.
Yeah.
Those things are so comfy. You can wear them year round, and I've had my other pair of Panama soles I've had for like 7 years, and I have beat the shit out of those things. They were in the video.
Yeah.
They have dirt on them, and they don't even look like they've been touched. If I polished them, they would look brand new.
Oh my god, my pair that I had for the longest time, because that's basically what I wore like all through school, like middle school and high school, was a pair of like it was like the 80s pattern jungle boots, so they were nylon rather than canvas. But like I wore them basically, they looked super new because I'd polish the shit out of them because that's something I like to do. But I basically could wear them until I fucking wore the Panama soles flat and they had no traction after that. So
Novocaine, if you want to get into helmet collecting, I did make a video. I'm pretty sure the choices are still relevant. I'll update that. The Hungarian M70, the Soviet SSH-40, you're going to be getting a post-World War II, but it's still the same damn helmet.
Yeah, they didn't change the design for like 20 fucking years. So.
And the Polish WZ-67 or 6775. God, what else do I have that's like really easy to get into? The Yugoslavian M59 and 5985s. Those are great to get into collecting with.
And when Mike gets those East German helmets, scoop one of those up because we don't know how much longer those are going to last either. And that's a really fucking cool design.
Yeah, so. Everybody should have one of those that does that. So
the most what the fuck camo pattern. I'd have to say Belgian Jigsaw, that pink and yellow and teal shit.
Oh, you did dick.
Weird. So
that shit. Well, yeah, I mean, fair enough, but it's
when they designed it, it was really fucking good, but it's kind of outdated now. So because it was that infrared type shit. So.
Yeah, biggest what the fuck camo.
There's also that like the Central African, the guy that the Democratic Republic of Congo, where he had the literal leopard print camo.
Yeah, that was pretty shitty, but
so
I think the only what the fuck is Liebermuster. Like,
well, no, that was once again that's one of those early night vision because it was all red to prevent night vision because red didn't show up in infrared. Yeah,
but still, like,
if you didn't have infrared, you stuck out. Yeah.
What the fuck? Yeah, UCP is the biggest what the fuck. Thank you for telling me that.
Yeah, easily. That's definitely, UCP blows dick. It's
don't get me fucking started on that piece of shit pattern.
That shit was garbage. Fuck.
Yeah,
we should have just stuck with Woodland. Fuck this everyone being a unique snowflake type shit. We should have just stuck with fucking Woodland.
We should have stuck with these.
Yeah.
Fucking olive drab and then make a tan version or even a 3-color version.
Yeah.
You know,
or just coyote brown and OD green. That's all you need.
Yep. Yeah. Oh god, UCP is just a fucking disaster.
UCP is fucking garbage. Yeah.
Yep. But I mean, it turned blue.
I don't even like to think of how many people that fucking camouflage pattern got killed.
Right. That's the
thing. Like, got a shit ton of people killed.
In Iraq, it was blue, and then my buddy said in Afghanistan it was just like light gray. Like it would just look like gray from like light gray though, not just like field gray. Yeah. And he says they got seen like there was nowhere they could hide. And they came out with the UCP Delta, which he wore for a bit, and he was like it worked a little bit better, but he's like all we did was we just rolled in the fucking mud and got all full of mud and shitty stuff to make it brown anyway. And he's like that's how we. Yeah, that's how he circumvented. And then they started getting issued multicam when he was over there, and like the actual multicam when they contracted with him and shit. and he said that worked. It almost worked too well. He says they'd lose their guys when they were doing a patrol in like a wooded area in Afghanistan. He's like, we'd like lose track if somebody wasn't moving.
Yep. And early on, actually, like a very brand new issued multicam stuck out because it's actually designed for temperate woodland, not an arid environment. So it actually had to, its sun faded really fast. That's a problem multicam has, is its sun fades really fast. And that's when it became really good for Afghanistan. They had to wait to sun fade it a little bit.
The material that they used were the same ones they issued us, the flame retardant ACUs.
Yeah, the Fracu.
Yeah, the cotton and rayon and the other weird shit that's in
Poplin.
there. But
yeah,
it literally, after you wash it twice, it's white. And it sun fades like super fast, but it was really comfortable. But it tore and all that shit. But where he was at, he was near the Pakistani border, and he said that there was like temperate woodland there.
Yeah, up in the mountains. Yeah,
Yep.
Like people don't understand this. Like the U.S. media shows Afghanistan as like a desert place with mud huts. That's only the southern part of Afghanistan.
Right.
Once you get up north, like people don't understand how developed of a nation Afghanistan is before all their civil wars and shit like that.
Yep.
Kabul had the best university in the Middle East. All right, they have neon signs, they have television stations, they have radio, they have nice cars and stuff. And northern Afghanistan looks just like fucking Colorado.
Yeah, exactly. And because he said it was because he was stationed at Fort Carson in Colorado. So he's like, it's pretty similar to going up Pikes Peak. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's interesting.
It's fucking pine trees and snow-capped mountains. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, he said multicam worked really good there. But UCP was just a fucking disaster.
Yeah.
So.
ATAX is kind of the thing where militaries aren't really going to ever adopt it because they want fucking huge royalties for it. So.
Yeah. That's why they didn't go with Cry's multicam and they went with Scorpion, which they own the rights to.
Well, Cry also developed Scorpion, so.
Yeah, but the military bought the rights to that.
Yeah, at the same time they had UCP.
Yep, in the late 90s. And it's like, I would love to know exactly what went down and who got money off of UCP.
Whose palms got fucking grease to pick fucking UCP?
Yeah, I know. It's pretty insane. So.
Shit.
Fucking junk mail. What the fuck is the point of? It's like nobody's gonna fucking fall. Well, I suppose people still do fall for shit. Old people. Oh, but the IRS wants me to contact them.
On the Yugo mountain suit, I wish I had one. I'm possibly could get one. It's that weird kind of branch style camo. If anyone knows where I could get a nice one, I'd happily buy one. So.
Yeah, I get these.
I'm a big fan of mountain troopers, so I'm very well aware of the Yugo mountain troops. So
I get these requests all the time too. It's like, can you do a review on this enter uber rare item? I'm like, dude, I've only got so much money. Like,
yeah,
it's. Are
you gonna donate 10 grand for me to do that?
Yeah, exactly.
Opinion on the Cryptek cam pattern. I know it's got a lot of use like in the tactical community, but before that it was developed as a hunting pattern, so it's just a hunting pattern.
The Cryptek Mandrake Tropical was probably my favorite variant, but it's really hard to get that. You can only get the Mandrake, which is a little bit too brown and grayish for where I'm at. But I don't mind. I mean, it's gimmicky. It's kind of cool looking, but it seems to be effective.
Yeah, it's good. So it's a good camouflage pattern, and I know there's a lot of tactical guys and like contractors are really big on Cryptek, but it was designed as a hunting camo. So
yeah, it's not terrible. I mean,
Frogskin camo. Frogskin was really good for its era. The 40s were. It was a really good camouflage pattern for its era. Yeah. Chocolate chip camouflage is actually really, really good for what it was designed for, which was if the U.S. was ever invaded by Mexico. It's really, really good for like the American Southwest, but 3-color desert's more for like what you picture a desert, like Sahara type stuff, Middle East stuff. 3-color desert's going to be much better for you, whereas 6-color is going to be for much more of that sparse desert where it's cactuses and stuff. So bring back jungle fatigues. That'd be great. Well, the 25th Infantry Division is testing a whole bunch of actual new jungle fatigues and jungle boots to be the next generation, because that's where we expect the next fucking war to be, is in the jungle. So
well, anybody got any questions?
I got answers if you guys got questions. So otherwise, I'm just going to sit here and keep drinking because I've got nothing better to do on a Friday night.
Elias, I have no idea why they issued Lugers in Vietnam.
You could find pretty much everything fucking used in Vietnam.
Yeah.
I've seen pictures of basically everything used in Vietnam. Infantry units have airborne battalions. Not all infantry units have airborne battalions, but all airborne battalions are infantry units. So, except for the one that's an MP unit. So, that is, of course, if you're referring to the U.S. So, I'm not too sure about most of the other ones. So,
I don't have any of the Romanian M73 80s right now. I'm trying to work on a source for them.
that's also a super good helmet. I love mine. It's one of my favorite helmets. Super fucking comfortable. Chin strap's kind of a bitch until you like get it really broken into where it's like comfortable on you.
Yep.
But
I'm gonna go to the bathroom. I'll be right back.
all right. So you guys got just me to answer some questions. So if there's anything specifically you want to see, I could go off camera and grab it if you want any more information on it. So no, I don't want to go fight in Vietnam again. The jungle blows. So as somebody who's a big fan of mountain troopers, mountains by far hardest thing to fight in. Jungle has to be a close second. Jungle sucks. So yes, as far as the Canadian helmet covers go on their M1s, they did use all Canadian M1 helmets are surplus American helmets, as well as all of the covers. The Canada did test some camo helmet covers for themselves, and they did test the mass green one themselves, but none of them ended up being adopted. How do you fight in the mountains? Basically for your life. It's the hardest place historically to get supplies. It's the hardest place to fight. It has the largest temperature swings. The oxygen is of the lowest quality of all of those places, and everything else like that. So there was a good number of Canadians that went to Afghanistan. Obviously, the Canadian military isn't as large as most other of the founding members of NATO, but they sent a pretty good amount of people there, a couple thousand. So I do not have any Canadian World War I gear that is original because it is very, very expensive. So, and it's also mostly the same as the British stuff. I do have a 1916 Oliver pattern reproduction set. I'll probably do a video on because I actually really like the Oliver pattern, both the 1899 and the 1916 stuff. So yes, you can find both the Woodland and the Mitchell pattern covers for the Canadian M1. U.S. World War I gear is actually pretty different from the British stuff. They're very unique. The U.S. kind of tends to blaze their own trail in a lot of regards. So Why did I move out of Canada? Mostly because my family moved to the United States, also for mostly economic purposes. But the family was kind of the thing that set me over the edge for leaving. So 3 million German soldiers or a season? Well, it depends on what season and how good the supply lines are. Depends. So, I mean, I have a lot of OD uniforms already. So,
All right, I'm back.
Canada's. I build Canada. Like people ask me all the time about Canada. Um, I build it as a good place to visit, not to live. So,
Just try to get caught up on the comments.
Don't worry about it, Mike. You didn't miss a whole lot. It was a lot of like asking me questions and stuff. So,
oh, why the hell am I even on here then?
So they're asking me a lot of Canadian stuff. Multicam stuff is kind of pricey. So
yeah, and it's everywhere. And unless I can get a really good deal on it at surplus or like real surplus, I'm not gonna.
Yeah, and since it's right now, as a lot of people I know call it multi-glam, it's the thing that everyone wants that wants to be operator. It's jack the prices way high on everything.
Yeah,
So.
it's a fad. Like it's not the best camouflage in the world. I know I just said that, but yeah, it's okay, but it's not a universal pattern by any means. There's still variations of multicam. I love multicam tropic. That's really good for the summer.
Yeah, all the multicam variants are good. Original multicam is designed to be best in temperate woodland, and then it gets progressively worse towards each side of the spectrum you're going, which is how it normally goes, is how the camo spectrum works is on one side you have winter, on the other side you have desert, and then you get progressively forested in the center. So you have like temperate woodland, then you have like rainforest, and then you have desert. And then so on the other side of the spectrum, you have like so you have temperate woodland in the middle, and then you have kind of sparser like taiga type stuff, like open plains, and then you have winter. So yes, it's you most of the M1 covers you find will not be stamped. So
The Vietnam ones, no,
he's
most of
asking
those,
Mitchell pattern, yeah.
yeah, most of those will be stamped, but you do see some that either, well, it depends. Is it twill material? Is it an earlier twill, like heavier, or is it the later, like just kind of heavy poplin style? Because
Yeah.
there's also a difference in that, and the earlier ones weren't marked, like the 64 and 65. The early ones, I used to have one from 1959 that actually had a white tag on it, and it said USMC on it. But times got tough, and I had to sell that bitch. But
What province I'm originally from? I am from the Northwest Territories, one of the few people. So, and SS Oak Leaf is not the best plane tree for life. So, as far as SS camo patterns go,
I think Palm A was the best. Like I'm not sure.
Palm A is it's Palm A. I'm gonna have to say, yeah, the Palm fucking camo was definitely the coolest, but the most common variation you're gonna see is actually the plane tree.
Right, and the Palm was the early
because they made like 6 versions of plane trees. So
yeah, plane tree's all right, but I really love. I think the Palm was the best.
Palm's fucking cool, yeah.
Yep, it worked pretty well, and it actually works like a camouflage shit. It breaks up your silhouette, and the smocks were a great thing. It was funny. They're just outerwear.
Yeah, and the Russians rolled with the smock idea afterwards. The West is really the only people that went for like this stuff, the like actual camouflage uniforms. So Sumptarn muster was actually really good too. You see that on the Austrian camouflage pattern, the first one they adopted, the peas pattern. Their reverse of that was actually Sumptarn muster as an exact copy.
The Bundesgrenzschutz Schütze was. They also used that in the 50s and 60s. The border guards, the West German ones, and that, yeah, it's Zumpftarmus. God, my German accent's getting horrible.
Yeah. It's better than mine, Mike. So
Zumpf means swamp, so it's like a
Yeah.
marshy pattern, and it actually really doesn't work that bad.
No, it's a good pattern.
It came from the World War II German tan and water, they called it, variant of the Fallschirmjäger smock and helmet cover, and then they added like kind of red splotches in it, so it worked okay. But yeah, that was an interesting camouflage. Just how many different Russian camo patterns are there? I don't think we can actually count that high.
Yeah. Do we like Tiger Stripe? Tiger Stripe's decent. So I think it's kind of overplayed a little bit, but
yeah. Oh God, I love this question. Do you think Austria-Hungary or Germany was more at fault for World War One? Lol. Austria-Hungary, I'm not going to get into it. So,
well, I'm a big World War One historian, and I'm one of the very small percentage of people that believe that Russia was actually kind of the cause of World War One because they mobilized before anyone else.
yeah.
So, because Russia actually, contrary to popular belief, really, really wanted war. So, is Italy a joke? No. Italy historically as a fighting force has actually done fairly decent for the hand they were dealt. So, best country for helmets? Like as far as buying them or like as a personal preference? I think Mike's having some computer issues here. So, or he's got to go do something. So,
Oh, I'm back. I accidentally hit the wrong button. I was just trying to mute the microphone.
okay.
So, oof. Yeah. And my mouse is like really sensitive. It's a gaming mouse, so like
Oh,
I was trying to scroll over and I accidentally hit the button for the
that's
video
right.
and like so.
I got to get a nicer computer so I can play War of Rights with you.
Dude, that is a fun game. Most intimidating helmet ever, that big Russian fucker with the face shield. That's pretty disgusting. I don't know what it's called. I don't know Russian stuff very well.
Like the 6B3.
Yeah, it's the huge one with the like face shield
Yeah,
and all that.
the big mask that comes down in the tiny little slit.
Yeah. I'm just gonna throw my Vietnam M1 on and call it a night.
There you go.
It's comfortable, light. So.
What do I want to put on? I'll grab this one right here in front of me. It's my tacked out CG634, the one that I put ACH pads in. Oregon Aero pads, nonetheless, Mike, because I know you're a fan of those.
Dude, they're awesome.
So, and then I got the cool woodland camel cover on it, and the flashlight, and the KDEX helmet mount, and everything. So,
God, aren't you just the ultimate supreme badass?
I like the CG634. I like how it has a little lip on it, and it's got really aggressive ear coverage as well, but not having a huge visor on it like the Pascat. So,
Right.
so yeah, this is my like customized personalization on the CG634. This was a project that I did so a couple years back. Yeah, if you buy a correct size, I don't know how the Austrian helmets M1s compare to the German ones, but I'm sure there's one they made multiple sizes of the German Flecktarn helmet covers. I'm sure it would fit on your Austrian one. So, depending on what size you buy, of course. Thank you. I agree. It is a pretty cool helmet. So it was hard to find a woodland cover that had that nice tight fit that the CAD-PAT ones have.
Yeah.
So, because I like that very, very super tight fit that the CAD-PAT helmet covers have. Very unique way to attach their helmet covers. Nothing actual like positive connection holding it in. It's all held in with just tension, whereas this one actually has Velcro. I had to put Velcro discs in this to hold this on. Did the Marines cost digital camo? Well, if you go all the way back, all right, technically the first digital camouflage pattern that I've been able to track is the Russian KLMK camo, which is like from the 60s. They did digital first, so.
Well, they also did digital camouflage on tanks in World War II.
So did the British, though. They tested urban camouflage on tanks and everything, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. The U.S., the original lightweight helmets didn't have reversible covers, and that's the thing that they actually brought back for a while, because for a while they were separate. There was a lot of years as far as the lightweight helmet went where there was a woodland and a desert cover. At the very beginning they made reversible, and now towards the end when they're adopting the ACH, they're also reversible.
Yeah, because the Army had reversible ones. My dad had one. He had a woodland desert, 3-color desert reversible one for his Mitch before that was the ACH.
That's what this one is. It's reversible to 3-color desert.
Yep.
So this is actually this cover if you want to get one. I don't know if they're made anymore. This is a LBT cover, so a London Bridge Trading cover, so which is why it has no foliage loops in it.
Why do people act like we lost Tet?
Because we were caught completely their fucking pants down, and we lost the entire fucking conflict in the end. So yes, in a way we did.
Yeah, I got a lot of people killed during that offensive. Like a lot of people.
So that was real smart on the North Vietnamese's part.
Yep.
So. We didn't win objectively if we lost the whole war. So you can win as many objectives as you want, but you can win all the battles you want, but if you lose the war, it doesn't count for shit.
We didn't necessarily kill a hell of a lot more. Like our body count, quote unquote, was higher, but that doesn't really mean anything because a lot of those were unconfirmed.
Urban camo, there isn't really any countries out there that issue a lot of urban camo. So.
Well, urban camo for a lot of the bigger cities, I just wear a flannel shirt with jeans rolled up to my knees and combat boots.
Yeah, dress like a hipster.
Yep, that's my
urban. The best urban camo. Mike said, well, if you want to learn more about Vietnam, Mike has got a really awesome series on the roll about learning about Vietnam, because I didn't know a shit ton about Vietnam before we went into this, and I'm learning a crap ton from Mike's videos as well. So it's getting me into Vietnam stuff.
It's going to be a never-ending series. Like, there's just so many things that I have to discuss. I'm trying to get as many of the basic topics as I can covered, and then just building off of that. Yeah, Aussies in Vietnam were badass. There weren't a lot of them, though. Like, everybody thinks
no, they were basically sent as an advisory role, mostly to train the ARVN troops. You see a lot of countries actually sent people to Vietnam. A lot of people don't know this as an advisory role. Japan sent people. Yep. Canada sent people. With a lot of wars, you see a lot of people go there to observe, because it's just the most modern war that has happened at that time. So you see a lot of people try to learn how the tactics changed and everything like that as the war went on. But the Koreans, not the Koreans, the Australians actually stepped in as kind of the jungle warfare experts, one of the pinnacle jungle warfare experts at the time, because they fought a lot of Japanese during World War II, so they kind of had the most knowledge about it. So you see them step in to help train ARVN troops throughout the Vietnam War, as well as taking on a kind of special forces-esque role as far as patrols go. So,
yeah,
I'd love to do a Korea series. Korea is probably the behind World War I, the war that I know the most about would be Korea. So.
Your M1C liner doesn't really fit 100% of the helmet. It should fit.
So a lot of the airborne liners actually don't fit in as well as the infantry liners. They were cut a little larger. So like if you look at my kind of M1 helmet. You could clearly see the liner is much lower, and that's by design. That
It's
it sticks out like that. So,
isn't that an earlier M1C liner?
this is a very, very late one, actually. This is a vertical configuration fiberglass type liner. So,
Because look, this one fits in. This is a Vietnam era shell or post Vietnam era shell.
so yeah, this is post Vietnam as well, and this one was. You see a lot of these in the '80s, the ones that are cut like this, where they're cut very, very wide from the helmet shell.
It's weird.
Yeah.
I think this liner's dated like 74 or something.
Mine's dated from '82. So, yeah. Yeah, the Korean War was cool because like everyone and their grandmother was there. So
yeah, it was. I mean, I know the basics, but I don't know nearly as much about Korea as I do about the Vietnam War. So
it's the first war where body count was measured, and the last war where ground and objectives taken were measured. So it's the first war that had both. Sorry, the only war that had both measurements in it, as far as what was considered a completion of the end game. So whereas
yeah,
like you see World War II and World War One, it's all about ground gained and objectives taken, and whereas you see Vietnam is all about body count. So every war after Korea was all about body count. Korea was like the transition period between objectives to body count. So
best ish helmet that's still ballistically sound and a good price. The British Mark 7s that I got on my website.
yeah, or Pasgat.
Yeah,
Pasgat's a pretty sound there.
definitely.
So there's lots of customizations to the Pasgat as well. If you're looking for something to kind of play with, and like upgrade and fix around and change
Yep.
helmet covers and shit too, the Pasgat's probably the way to go. But if you're looking for an even better helmet than the Pasgat as far as weight and like comfortability and usability goes, yeah, Mike's got a lot of Mark 7s. That's a very, very, very good helmet. So
Yeah, and the Polish WZ 2000 is also really good.
yeah,
So it's like it performs like a Pasgat.
exactly. And Mad Hawk, because I know you, if you're listening, you should probably go to Mike's website and buy a Mark 7 if you want one. So, because they're super cool, those British Mark 7s.
Yeah, I'm so glad to have one. They're like one of the most unique designs too I've ever seen. Like they're very, very cool.
An Avis pen for a Nom helmet.
What?
eBay's got pretty much everything, so eBay is normally where I start if I'm looking for something obscure because somebody always seems to have something on there.
Yeah, I don't understand how people don't know about eBay. It's been around for like 20 some years and
Yeah, it's been around since fucking 94.
Yeah, everything is on there.
So that's normally, yeah, like if I'm looking for something I know I can't just get from some random circle site, eBay is a website I check daily for stuff I'm looking for because you never know when
Yep.
something's going to turn up. I have like 3 or 4 things that are like on my to get list like now, and eBay is where I get 90% of that shit from that I need. So if it's something historical like that.
Yeah, that's
Some
usually,
liners green and brown, it just depends on the manufacturer, really. Nothing.
yeah. Well,
Yeah,
and
there's no real difference basically, so.
no, I think the material that they started using towards the end when they were all green was different because mid Vietnam is kind of that orange
Yeah,
brown.
you see the Corlon type stuff, which is canvas and resin, whereas later
Yeah,
you see it fiberglass and
yeah,
resin. So
and it was like a thicker fiberglass than the World War II
yeah,
ones. So yeah, it's just weird, but
$700 pocket watch. Well, how sentimental is it to you? Because if it's not at all, fucking sell it.
yeah, I mean it's if it's not sentimental, find a collector or something on eBay or just sell it on eBay. Somebody will know what the hell it is.
Yeah, if it's worth like $700, put like a $600 starting price on it and let people bid it up. People go ape shit for watches on eBay. So people call a Pascat a Stahlhelm. Well, because it basically is a Kevlar Stahlhelm. They literally basically copy pasted the design with a couple different improvements that would make it easier to mold, and that was about it. So Ugh.
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Do what you want with it.
Yeah. So, like I said, it comes down to how sentimental is that to you. So, but once again, nobody's gonna. I don't mean to be rude, but unless you have provenance that like proves that story, like a picture of your grandfather actually like wearing that watch, that's easy to like identify. Um, Nobody's gonna care about the story, so you're gonna have to just sell it for what it's worth as is. So.
France is not incompetent. Their fighting forces are not incompetent. Their leadership and politicians are
Yeah.
incompetent.
That's
It's always
the biggest hamstring to a military is the politicians. So
yep. So France's fighting force, I wouldn't fuck with them. I wouldn't. I'd put them up against almost any military in the world. Their
yeah,
actual like, non-politicians, their actual fighting force. As far as their leadership, I have zero
their
faith.
leadership is terrible. But like you look in World War II, like right up to the day they got defeated by Germany, France was considered the strongest army on paper in the world by a pretty significant amount. So it was a total shock when Germany steamrolled them. So
Yeah, but here's the thing: is like when they steamrolled them, they only steamrolled them because they didn't want to spend money on things that needed to be spent, like radios
yeah,
and tanks.
yeah. Well, it's because France, like after World War One, they're like that was the last war.
Yep.
So France was probably the biggest one blindsided by that. They were like, "This war was so bad, it's going to be the last one ever." So, best field cap M36. Any version of the M36 that includes the M43.
Which is actually styled off of the Austrian Bergemütze.
Yeah, the 1909.
Yep. Be
The
honest,
North
how I
Korean
feel.
military as a whole, well, they're undertrained, under-equipped, but technically they're the fourth largest military in the world. That doesn't mean shit for us because when the U.S. went into Iraq the first time, Iraq was the fourth largest military in the world. So,
And a military that's very malnourished and not healthy. I don't care how many numbers you have.
yeah, most armies like that, even if you have super good leadership and everything like that, the second there's an invasion, most of them are going to throw down their guns and surrender.
Which is exactly what happened in Iraq in the first
Yeah,
round. Like,
because those people don't want to fight. They're there because they have to be. The second something better comes along, most of them are going to defect.
right. Yeah.
I don't know if the French is going to if France is going to the HK 416 or not. The HK 416 is a great rifle. It's an M4 with a G36 action,
Yeah.
but I don't see what's wrong with the FAMAS. So
Yeah. I never actually, well, of course, I've never handled one, but I don't know.
what about China?
Like you're wanting us to like say all the hypotheticals and what our opinions are. It's like we're not going to give you any like off the wall answers. They have a lot of people. They have a strong economy. They're well nourished. They're probably a decent fighting force. Like
Yeah,
it's pretty much concurrent with what you probably think is our opinions.
yeah.
We're not like these weird.
China, you could Google it. China has the largest standing military in the world. Okay. They have the most military spending other than the United States in the world. They have one of the largest potential armies in the world. The only thing that would make China the second largest potential army in the world is the American gun owning citizens. But personally, I really like China. China's cool. Been to China a couple times. China's great. All right. I don't see any problems with China. I don't think China's going to stir the pot or try to fight anybody. Um, China's going to play the long game, if anything, because that's
Jesus
about all
Christ.
anyone's doing at this point is playing the long game. So.
You sound like fucking Donald Trump when you're saying China every other fucking word.
China.
China. Have you ever seen that
China.
compilation from the election year?
Yeah.
It's just like 5 minutes straight of China, 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 China. They get all those interviews and speech. That was just fucking great.
And then we're gonna build a wall with these tiny hands.
Yeah, it was just fucking funny. I'm not getting political. I'm just saying, like you were saying, China every other fucking word.
No, he's a clown. Everyone knows he's a clown.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But
it is what it is.
I'm not gonna judge him till he's done. I didn't judge Obama until he was done because he still has a lot he could potentially get done in his presidency. So
right, but yeah, it's fucking China. I will say he fucking says that a lot, but. Yeah, I will keep doing Nam videos. I don't plan on stopping because those are something I can
Mike
do.
could run that series into the fucking ground. It could be years before.
Well, and I could do it like when the weather's shitty or I don't feel good or I'm sick. I can still do it.
Yeah, it can be something you have on the back burner.
Right. Yeah. So.
China.
China.
God, Trump.
Yeah, it's funny. But all right, you guys got any more questions? M1C comment on the Vietnam War randomly given to soldiers because most pictures of airborne troops have. I've seen for Vietnam for M1Cs. I have seen guys that you wouldn't think would have. I've seen Marines that have them, and they're not like per se airborne troops.
Yeah.
It's just that's why I did it because I used to. I mean, I got this. It was advertised as a normal liner when I was like 15, and it was actually an M1C, and I'm like, oh, well, I guess I'll just roll with it.
Yeah, and a lot of people actually like the M1C type liners because they're more stable.
Yeah, they're a lot, and then
there's better weight distribution with them. Yeah,
and you get the snaps that hold it in, so it doesn't separate. So yeah, that's why I chose to do this for my Vietnam quote unquote impression. So
I don't know a lot about the 173rd, and I don't know if Mike knows a lot about the 173rd.
That unit got fucked up. That unit got like they had a lot of bad shit happen to them. I'll be doing unit videos like brief history. Yeah. That's why I say this thing's like never gonna end.
Yeah. My expertise is really in 10th Mountain, and they weren't in Korea or Vietnam. They were dissolved after World War II. So
yeah. So
VZ-58 or AK, they're basically the same gun. In the end, they're the same gun.
Will we see a World War III in the future? I don't know, but Albert Einstein says he doesn't know what weapons World War III will be fought with, but he knows World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones. That's all I'm going to say about that.
So, hey, as long as there's 2 people left on the earth, somebody's going to want someone dead. So there's always going to be another war. It's just a matter of when. So. Okay, it would surprise me if somebody had a Bren gun in Vietnam. Pretty much, you could track pretty much every weapon to Vietnam. So
an American getting issued a Bren gun, unlikely. An Australian,
well,
very likely.
Web General's an Australian, so it's probably an Australian.
Yep. Okay, so he was Australian. Yeah, that's all. Yeah, I mean, Bren guns. The Mark 1 through 4s were used, or the Mark 1 through 5 actually were used up until the 90s. Like they were still using them in the Falklands. The L4A1 and L4A2 and A3 came out, the 308 version, but they were carrying Bren guns forever. You know,
well, it's a freaking great design. Ultimately, goes back to the freaking Czech design, which goes back to the Madsen. So.
Yep, the concept of the Madsen, but the Czechs actually engineered it correctly.
Yep. So yeah, the Madsen had a lot of problems, especially with its feeding. So.
Oh God, the magazine is such a chintzy piece of shit.
And in the last 2 rounds, the follower actually came out of the magazine because to push the last 2 rounds through the feed tray into the action.
Yeah, and then the ZB36 is like, or 26, sorry. That's a hell of a gun, and that's why it's called Bren. It's Brno, the town and weapons plant in Czech, or at that point Czechoslovakia, and Enfield, because Enfield was manufacturing them. So it's a combination of those 2 things. I don't know, Johan. I don't know. They had the maker and size stamp. I don't know what a heat stamp is. Like, oh yeah, they did. They actually did in the dome. Yeah. Now that you mention it. So. Gonna be on the inside top of the dome. And also the Owens up to the 90s plus the F1, which I think we should.
On the Stahlhelms, if you watched my most recent video on helmets, my Stahlhelm, which is an M18, is stamped right on the inside of, I forget if it's the right or the left ear part of the skirt that comes down, and it's actually ground away so you could see it. So.
You're talking about the dome stamp for the heat stamp?
No, I have the manufacturer and everything is it's like right.
Oh yeah, he was talking about
M18, so
yeah, he was talking
inside, yeah.
So the heat stamps were on the top of the fucking thing. I can't find it on either one of my refurbished ones because they're pitted on the top. But the new one that I got, the 64, that's got a heat stamp on the top.
Yeah, the Owen submachine gun was a good gun. It was the same kind of thing with like Canada and the Sterling. Canada still has Sterlings in arsenal for like police forces and stuff. So,
dude, the U.S. had the M3 grease gun in their arsenals until like the early 2000s for armored crewmen.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, submachine guns are. I mean, they're a little outdated now, but they're pretty sweet. Coolest helmet camo of World War II.
That was basically just Germany. So Germany was the only one who had camo, and then take your pick, really. They were basically all reversible.
The Bren 2 rifle, I don't know. People have gotten those. I don't know anything about them. I haven't used them. They seem extremely expensive to me. Yeah.
No, the FAL is much better than the AR-10.
Well, Mario, that's because you probably have a repro chin strap. The originals were machined to be like exacting. So once they're really hard to put on, the originals, and they're really hard to take off.
Yeah, you have to line them up just right, and then you have to like want to get it over that lug.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's a bitch. Should we still use the M60? Probably not. There's a reason.
No, the M60 was garbage.
Well, it wasn't garbage, but the 240 Bravo's got a lot less issues, a lot less moving parts, and
yeah. So the Belgians figured that shit out.
It's a bitch to carry the 240 Bravo. Like it's
heavy. It actually doesn't it weigh only like a pound more than the M60?
No. The M60 is 23.2 pounds. The 240 Bravo is 27.3.
Fuck.
Yep, and also the M60's got that front grip on it, so when you're carrying it, you can actually hold it like a rifle. Well, on the 240 Bravo, you've got a pintle mount that sticks out of the receiver there, and it's just
yeah,
it's a fucking bitch because that's what I had to carry when I was in, and it is a bitch, but it shoots great.
Yeah, full on 308. I'm always gonna like 308 over 223. So.
Oh God, yeah. Yep.
So I've always been a larger caliber, higher velocity type guy over all this multiple hit, quick shooting, large magazine type stuff. I'd rather shoot them once.
Yep.
So.
The U.S. some of the units, some of the very
some of the rear line supply units did have M1s with chocolate chip covers,
and they were reserve units, from what I understand. They were like because even active Army people that were in the rear still were issued the PASGET for the most part. But you still see
a lot of the M1s were kept stateside, so pretty much everyone they could give PASGETs to got PASGETs when they went over. So, all right, Mike, you're gonna have to answer questions for a little bit. I'm gonna go to the bathroom.
Okay. So. USMC did. Yeah. So you guys got any more questions? Kind of losing momentum a little bit. Getting sleepy. I have seen those pictures too of the guys in the first Gulf War using the chocolate chip covers with the M1s. So that is if you can carry so much 7.62. Yeah, 7.62 gets heavy, but again, you usually need one. You should just use catheters during the live stream. Yeah, they're just pissing bottles and stuff. Yeah, that wouldn't be weird or anything. Do I like the Gulf War Theater? It's interesting. It's still pretty fresh. I have a lot of like friends that were in Desert Storm. I was like a few months old at that point, so it's pretty near and dear to me. And just like the Balkan stuff, like it's interesting, but I'm trying to learn about stuff that's farther back first. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, speaking of the Gulf War, I got my construction helmet on.
Yeah.
Probably the biggest piece of garbage helmet ever fielded.
Just so you don't hit your head on things. Seriously.
Yeah, no. By the way, if you've ever worn one of these helmets for any length of time, they turn your fucking skin green because the dye they used in them is like teal. So, best cover ever, though. I actually really like these covers.
That's a solid cover. Yeah.
There's nothing fancy in it. There's no thrills. There's nothing to go wrong. So.
Yep. You were 1 during the second Iraq War? Jesus, you're young.
Yeah, go to school.
Damn.
So,
I suppose, my God, yeah, I was like 12 or something when Iraq 2 kicked off in 2003.
oh fuck, how old would I have been? I would have been 7. I would have been 7 years old.
Yeah, I mean, I remember 9/11 like very well because I was old enough. I was like 11 years old, and
I was
just
fucking eating dirt and sitting in the fucking woods.
Yeah. Yeah, it's 9/11 was pretty fucked up. Like I kind of wish I would have been younger and didn't really realize what was going on, but that was weird. And then, a year and a half later, we're going into Iraq and we had been to Afghanistan and a lot of people I knew were getting deployed and it was like, oh my God. Mm-hmm. And then, it turned into that. And then, I turned 18 and then I found myself there. So it's like, oh my God.
Well, it's one of the longest running U.S. wars in history. So
Iraq's not, Afghanistan is.
Yeah. 2001 to now. Yeah.
Iraq was only 8 years. Operation Iraqi Freedom, I should say, was only 8 years. We're still there. They just don't talk about it anymore.
But Finish M05 cable, I really like Finish M05 cable.
Yeah, it's pretty solid. I'm
gonna
eventually get a
pseudo digital stuff. It's nice. So I also like all the variations they have. They have the desert. They have the woodland. They have what they call the frost camo, and then they have winter camo. They've really figured their shit out. They're probably going to use it for a long time. So,
yeah.
I'm not familiar on the scopes used on the M4s and M16s in Vietnam. So
yeah, they were used, just not. I'd have to do some more research on that, so I'm not going to answer that.
Yeah, Vietnam's a really weird subject to do for firearms because literally everything that has ever been made has pretty much been used after that, as long as it's not like a percussion cap thing. Once you get to like actual pretty much you could find an example of pretty much everything used in Vietnam that is like a center fire cartridge. So
what do you mean, ever come across any German style helmets? Yeah, I got plenty. If you watch my video,
I've got like 70.
Yeah.
So
my favorite APC, the one I don't have to ride in.
Yeah, APC's blow.
I'm really tall and I'm really big. I never got along with tight, cramped spaces of really loud, uncomfortable vehicles.
Yeah, and I'm small and fit into pretty much everything just fine, but I get seasick real easy, and I can get seasick in a tank or in a truck that's going over kind of rolly land and stuff like that. The suspension on a tank and an APC creates a lot of like shake and movement, and I will fucking spew in an APC.
Yeah, so you can't see out, so it's like,
I don't have any bearing, so if I'm in there just shaking, I will fucking vomit. I get seasick so easy.
A jungle version of Fleck-Tarn would be interesting. Check out Danish M84 camo.
Yep.
Seen an American soldier in Vietnam with an MP40. Yep, I'm going to be making videos on Vietnamese used weapons. It's going to take me about 5 or 6 parts to get all the weapons they possibly use.
Yeah, there's a shit ton of stuff.
5 or 6 15-minute videos explaining each one and how they got it and how they got there. It's insane the amount of weapons they use. Their logistics was a freaking nightmare trying to get ammo for all that shit. But yeah, I'll cover that. I'm not going to do that in this stream. It's going to take forever. And yeah, I have to be really organized and meticulous about it. So I don't like ramble for 3 hours. So.
It wouldn't surprise me if there was an MG40 in Vietnam.
An MG40? What's that?
I think he means like the 42.
Oh.
Yeah. The homegrown Vietnamese weapons, like the copy of the 1911 and tons of other shit that they made.
Carbine they tried. Yeah. That again, these are all videos I'll be doing. You gotta give me time. I can only do so much. I'm working full time and I've got a bunch of other shit in my life going on. It's positive, but it's like, you know, just a bunch of adult stuff, you know, adulting. I love using that fucking term, aka just being responsible.
Yeah, and you guys probably won't see me for a while either because I'm also doing adult stuff, but in a negative way. My life is going to get more full. So,
yeah, well, probably get more money. So, did Vietnam have armed?
I'm going to be making a shit ton of money, but I don't fucking want to at this point.
Yeah, so. But it'll be good. You can buy more cool shit. Did they have contractors in Iraq in 2003? Yeah, they're called the CIA. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, there's been fucking contractors out. Basically, anything that involved money or anything that the U.S. wanted plausible deniability in, they use contractors for, and that's still common to this day. So,
I'm not going to talk about current events, Mason. I don't do that on here. I'm not going to get into that topic at all. Sorry, I'm not trying to be an asshole. I just don't do that. I try to stay as far away from that shit on the channel as possible at all times. So.
Yeah.
Not going to happen.
Were TT-33s ever used in the first Chechen War? Probably. TT-33 is a great pistol.
It's still being used around the world, so yeah. Yeah.
It's hard to find a better pistol. You're gonna be hard pressed to find a Browning action that has that type of power.
Yeah, that cartridge that they copied from the Germans, of course, weird.
Yeah.
But that freaking cartridge, man, that is one of the hottest pistol rounds I've ever fired. And everybody's talking about 357 SIG. It was designed to mimic the ballistics, but it doesn't have the same ballistics as a 7.62.25.
Yeah.
So
7.62 you're going to be hard pressed to find that much power and that much usability for both that price of ammo and gun. Yeah, so yeah, fucking Canada buying secondhand fucking garbage from everywhere. Why don't we just shoot ourselves in the foot? Fuck.
As long as you apologize to yourself, you can do anything you want.
Sorry, foot.
Sorry, I didn't mean to shoot you.
Yeah, we fucking bought like 10 years ago, we bought a whole bunch of fucking British submarines and like 30 people fucking died in one. And then now we're buying like 40-year-old fucking Australian jets, like for reals.
I mean, I'm not laughing. I'm not laughing about the fact that 30 people died. I'm just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
All's opinion on 40 Smith & Wesson. It needs to go away. Like, if you like it, you like it. That's fine. It's a caliber. I don't like the fact that it costs more than 9mm, but less than.
It's got a good following, but when it comes down to it, as far as American handgun market goes, it's 9 Luger and 45 ACP.
Yeah, like 40 is. It was designed when 9mm was like Full Metal Jacket rounds, and they thought they need more power. And that if you're talking about 40, what I think should have happened is they should have just went with the fucking 10mm like they were originally going to, and not taking the underpowered over handling 40 cal. Like, that's it. Just use the 10mm. That's a cool fucking pistol round. I'll tell you what. But 40 Smith & Wesson, there's a reason you could find used 40 everywhere and they don't move because it's another caliber. Okay.
Yeah.
I personally think it's a little bit too snappy for what it's actually capable of. And the ammo is more expensive than.
Yeah, and then you said the fucking price. That's the thing about the price. So 38 special is not the best revolver round. It's 357 because anything that shoots 357 will also shoot 38 if it's a revolver.
The M357 is a fucking beast.
Yeah. So.
357 SIG, again, it's a wannabe 7.6225. It's a niche round. It's super expensive, and
Yeah.
it was a concept round, just like the 40 Smith and Wesson. Like
it's like when I shot the FN57, the handgun, the polymer handgun. It's a super fucking cool handgun. All right, the round on it is super super fucking cool, but it's like the single most expensive handgun round in the world that's still in use.
Yeah.
So. For the price of buying an FN57 and ammo to fucking shoot it, you could buy like 10 TT33s and crates of ammo.
Yeah.
So for the same result, it's the same fucking result. I like hiking boots. That'd be my preference for everything. Hiking boots. Way to go.
I don't know. It depends what you're using them for, because there's a place for combat boots. That's why they're called combat.
There is a place for combat boots. So
if
I'm going into the jungle, I don't want to have mountain boots or anything like that. But I'm a big fan of like hiking boots. So.
No, I've never shot a 45-70 revolver. I have weak wrists, and I don't.
Yeah, and nobody would want to.
That's originally what the round was designed for, but
yeah, it was for handguns. Yeah.
Yeah, they found out that the sailors that were using it, because it was made for Navy ships, they were finding out that they were hurting their wrists on the reg, and the shock was fucking their hands up. So
let's give the Army 38 specials. I'm all for it. Pull the shit out of Armory, because chances are somebody in the Army shooting somebody with a handgun is super slim anyways. Why make new shit?
Yeah.
Save us some fucking taxpayer money.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. 9mm is just fine.
It's been around for over 100 years. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Well, and there's so many rounds now that are so effective that it's.
Thoughts on the M70? It's a SIG 226. It's a fucking plastic SIG 226.
It's not a 226. It's actually a SIG 320 with a thumb safety on it.
Same
and a
difference.
flat grip frame.
So
shows how much you know. I have a 320. That's all I know.
Okay, I don't.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. I might actually get one just to have one, just for the fuck of it, because I like the 320. It handles.
I'm waiting for surplus M9s. Oh my god, cheap surplus M9s. That's what I want.
Have fun with that. They're not going to be cheap.
So if the Army ever decides to fucking get rid of them in large numbers, they're going to be cheaper than they are now, and that's all I care about. It's not my favorite handgun, and I'm actually not a fan of it. But if I find one for a good price, I'll pick one up. So
I picked up a 92 FS, and it was like $350, and I was like, okay, I can deal with it. I just wanted one as an example, which is pretty much mine. And yeah, they're really nice. They're cool, but the surplus ones are gonna be a little bit more road hard and put away wet.
Yeah, they're gonna be kind of beat to shit. But yeah.
What are you? Shut up. What?
Berettas are okay. I'm actually not a fan of the Beretta system. So there's much better systems out there. But if I can get one for cheap enough, I'll buy one. So.
No, I'm not getting a CMP 1911. I don't want to deal with the misery of the pitting and the used 300,000 million rounds put through it. And 1911s are they're cool, but unless they're going to be like $350, I'm not going to fork over $1,000+ for a ratty.
I mean, the civilian marksmanship program has their place, but a lot of the stuff you're getting out of them is surplus, and a lot of American surplus, especially weapons, means it was used, and it was used hard. So
yeah, and now Spain does not suck at making guns. They're actually really good at making guns.
Yeah, Spain's super fucking good at making guns. So
they're the ones who designed the Set-Me, which became the G3, because the Germans were like, "Oh, that's a really good design."
Yep. And then you look at the Star, which is a manufacturer of pistols. Way back in the day, from the 20s through the 70s, Star was one of the top manufacturers of quality handguns in the world. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like the CMP, the whole process of you have to belong to a club and all that shit. I don't know. I think 1911s are really overrated as far as everybody being a fucking fanboy of them. Like, I'm not a fanboy of really any gun in particular. I'm just like, oh, military 1911s, they're just ratty and disgusting and shitty. Why don't you just get like a new made one that's...
I mean, if you're buying a civilian marksmanship program 1911, a lot of people are buying them for the history. They're not buying them to shoot. There's going to be those rednecks that buy them to shoot because they have money to do it.
Well, I get the history,
but
it's also the hype of like, oh, the 1911 is the only handgun in history.
No. Yeah, the 1911 is not even on like my top 5 list to buy for as far as handguns go.
Yeah, I've never owned one. I probably never. Well, no, I'm not going to say that. Unless I get a hell of a deal or I get like a new made repro.
Exactly. If one comes along that's in my fucking price point and it's in really good condition, fuck yeah, I'll jump on it. But otherwise, I'm not actively searching for one.
Yeah, I'm not going to pay $1,000 plus for a freaking 1911. So. Nothing wrong with being a redneck, you bigots.
Hey, isn't a redneck supposed to be a bigot? Just saying. Is the M1 Grand good or bad? For what? Mike, what's your cat's name?
I just typed it.
Oh, it must have just not showed up for me yet. My comments are a little behind.
Oh.
I knew that already. It's a good cat name.
Yeah, I actually didn't name him. But, yeah. Well, what else is new with all these people? I'm getting kind of sleepy. It's just been a long fucking week.
It's been a terribly long fucking week. Today when I clocked off, which was like an hour before the live stream, 72 fucking hours.
Damn.
So, yeah, I'm fucking tired. I haven't done shit. This is the first drink I've had all week. So.
Oh. Yeah, I just kind of hit a fucking wall.
I do not have any dolphin gear unless you count my Frobus M9 bayonet, which their logo is a legit dolphin.
Frobus M9s are the shit.
Yeah, they are. They're the best M9 bayonet. It's probably one of my favorite. It's a really big fucking heavy knife, but it's a knife I know I can rely on for anything.
Yeah, so, it's not going to break. It's an awesome thing.
So I know you have one too. So I remember you doing the video on that. And I was like, oh, I have one of those. So
yep, they're probably my favorite bayonet, like modern bayonet. Definitely cool. All right, well, I think we're gonna call it and kind of
I think we're pretty good. We answered a lot of questions, got a lot of good information out there, brought it up into the Cold War as far as steel helmets go.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that. Hopefully, I'll have some more next week.
Yeah, so we'll have to do where do we want to leave the next one off then? Do we want to do like the actual like Vietnam type stuff where we start getting into that transition area? Or do we want to jump right into like composites?
I was just reading the comments. Why don't we just start with the Vietnam M1 versus the World War II M1, like the actual shell?
Okay.
And we will just go from there and go on to composites.
Yeah, we should go into some of the really kind of late steel designs too. Some of the ones that are still feasible, like the Romanian one and the German M56 and the SSH 68 and all that stuff. Stuff that would still cut it on a modern battlefield. So
hopefully I have the 68s by next week. I'm getting some of those in stock too, guys.
Yeah, you guys should pick some of those up if you can get them. So they're a real good helmet.
Yeah, they're actually really hard for me to get too. So I don't know how many more I can get. But anyway, all right, guys. Well, we'll see you next week probably, unless something comes up or whatever. But yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you later.
Yeah, take it easy, guys.